How's it going, everyone? As always, my name is Jimmy Champagne. This is PSReady, my channel all about PlayStation. Thank you so much for all the friend requests on my PS5. I was playing Space Marine all night last night, and all I was doing in between matches was answering you guys on the PSN, and it was a ton of fun. Whoa, Jimmy from the future here. There's actually 4 topics in today's video. I'm about to say there's 3 topics after this, but PlayStation just announced a whole line of 30th anniversary consoles and other accessories, and it looks amazing. I couldn't not talk about it. Anyway, in today's video, I've got 3 topics to cover. The first one is the killer feature of the PS5 and PS5 Pro. The second news story is how Sony can continue to recover their lost goodwill from that big expensive announcement of the PS5 Pro. And finally, the Horizon Zero Dawn remaster has showed its face. People are mad. I'm going to tell you why Sony is remastering this game already. So let's jump into this first news story here, which is all about the 30th anniversary collection that Sony just announced. And there is so much cool stuff here. It all opens up for pre-order on September 26th. And unfortunately, if you get either of the consoles, you're going to have to wait till the end of November to get your hands on it. So if you want a PS5 Pro day one, I probably wouldn't make this my go-to option just because, again, it's opening up pre-orders at the same time as the PS5 Pro. So maybe while everyone's trying to get their hands on this PS5 Pro, we'll have an easier time getting the white one. But there's also a PS5 Slim available in the same colorway, and the console collection is really cool because not only do you get the PS1 themed PS5 Pro or PS5 Slim, you also get a little housing for the USB-C cable that makes it look like a port for a DualShock from the original PlayStation 1. You get PlayStation themed cable ties that are like in the button, so square, circle, cross, triangle. You also get a PlayStation paperclip, and it all just looks really cool. I doubt this is going to be $700. I bet it'll be $1,000. They don't say in the PlayStation blog article, but yeah, both of the consoles come with the same accessories, which is sweet. And even though they're still being weird about the PS5 Pro, they're not including a disc drive with this 30th anniversary one. They're giving you a side plate for it to go on an external disc drive if you do end up picking one of those up. I personally didn't even know that the plates were removable from the disc drive. I thought they were just soldered on there or glued on there, but no, you can actually swap those out, which is making me feel a little bit better about taking the disc drive out of my PS5 Slim. Okay, that's good. The one weird thing about the consoles is that they're giving you a limited edition poster with them, and there's 30 available. So I hope they sell them outside of the console because I'm sure they'll be cool and I'd like to own one. And it would be weird to spend all the money you're going to have to spend on either of these consoles and not get, one poster. It's weird to have 30 of them. I guess that's for scalpers. They're like, hey, you're not going to all get the best version of this console. There's going to be 30 different kinds so you can collect them and trade with your friends, I guess. The posters, not the consoles, obviously. Hopefully they sell them on PlayStation Direct separately. They're also doing a PS1 edition PS Portal, and that's cool, but I just wish they had a real handheld out right now because I would love a PS1 themed original PlayStation handheld. Like, how cool would that be? But if you're into the Portal, they're going to have them available. I don't have a Portal yet, so I might actually pick this one up. I'm being rewarded for waiting. Where I am definitely spending my money is on the DualSense Edge. It comes with a gray case with the rainbow PlayStation logo. It's got the gray colorway. I love the DualSense Edge. I've used it on my PC. I've used it on both my PlayStations. It has held up phenomenally. I know the price is high at $200, but I'm willing to pay it as someone who's tested this thing for over a year at this point. I think it was totally worth the purchase cost, and I don't even care how much this controller costs. I want a controller that's going to last in the PS1 colorway because my DualShock 4, I put some hours into that and I still have it, but it's worse for wear. I want the controller that's built better to look like a PS1 controller so it lasts longer. And I will, this is what I'm going for on the pre-orders, like right immediately out of the gate. I'm going for the DualShock inspired DualSense Edge. That's my bread and butter right there. And then for those of you who don't want to spend over $200 on the special edition DualSense Edge, they also have a regular DualSense in the colorway, so that's my backup option. If I'm unable to pre-order the DualSense Edge, I will be getting the regular edition controller. I will be a little disappointed, but I just want the PS1 version because that will be de facto my main controller going forward. It's just so cool. I wish they'd break down the timing. I want to know when this is going to be available. I hope it's separated out from the regular PS5 Pro, but if it's not, I'll just go for the regular PS5 Pro and hope the PlayStation Direct traffic doesn't like destroy the website. If you do want to get one of these and you feel like you're going to miss out on the regular PS5 Pro pre-order, they're actually staggering it. So while PlayStation Direct opens up pre-orders on September 26th, other retailers like Amazon and Best Buy are doing it on October 10th. I think I'm going to try on PlayStation Direct, but if I miss out, I don't really care because I've always had perfect luck with Amazon. I hope that trend doesn't break here, but yeah, it's weird that they're doing these pre pre-orders at the same time, but I don't really care. This is one of the coolest things Sony's ever announced. I know it's just gray paint on the console and you could theoretically make this yourself because the faceplates are rough plastic and they'd be really easy to paint and prime, but you know, Sony needs a win right now, and doing a 30th anniversary collection rewards us 30-year-old gamers like me who have been around since the beginning. Like, I am 1 year older than PlayStation, so while I didn't get one on day one because I was an actual baby, we had one in my house when I was very young because my aunt used to give me her old consoles when she would get a new one, and PS1 was a hit. I loved Crash Bandicoot back in the day. So yeah, let me know if you're gonna try and get one of these. Let's get into the video I recorded yesterday. Anyway, let's jump into the first news story here, which is all about why the PS5 and PS5 Pro's killer feature is going to continue to make them reign supreme over PC gamers, even as the price of getting into console gaming increases. So this one's coming from Nikkei, which is a Japanese outlet. I used to love this site when I had my Vita blog, where I would talk about firmware updates and CEO interviews and everything like that, because Nikkei would always get the best interview bites. I don't know why, it was just the case. So I'd punch them in to Google Translate and I'd get some great bites from my website that would give me lots of hits. And this time around, they're interviewing the hardware CEO of PlayStation, Hidieki Nashino, and he had some great stuff to say about why the PlayStation remains the best. So when he was asked why people choose console over PC, he said, "I think that many mobile games have ads and PCs are difficult to set up. With PS, you can play the content you purchased as soon as you turn it on. The products are clearly displayed in the stores where you buy software, so it's an intuitive experience." The interviewer then pushed him a little bit, saying, "Then why are you releasing so many of your biggest franchises like God of War and The Last of Us on PC?" And to that he said, "We're trying to increase the overall market by expanding content to PCs. There's no doubt that home consoles will be the core of our business, but by offering titles for devices other than home consoles, we will reach a wider range of customers." Both of these answers are excellent because they hit two major criticisms of the PS5 and console gaming as a whole. And I saw the smugness, I saw the snark. I'm just getting so sick of that. Like, people who have no idea what they're talking about, you know, just gassing up PC gaming instead of consoles because they want that Twitter engagement. I don't like that culture. I think it sucks, and it just shows how stupid people are just when they're farming engagement. But let's get into why he was so smart in these answers. So the first thing I want to touch on is convenience. Convenience is the best part of having a console, and I gotta be real, it took me a little bit to get there, but I'm fully on that side of the fence because I also saw a graph last night going around Twitter that shows the active mindshare of different platforms. And if you look at this graph, it starts around 2019 and it goes up until now, and it's weird because if you look at PC starting around 2019, 2020, there's a big rise in people playing games on PC. And then right around 2023, that graph takes a sharp cliff downward for PC, but over on the console side, it's been a steady rise since when the graph started tracking this data. And for me, that graph really just makes a lot of sense because 2023 is when I hit my absolute breaking point when it comes to PC gaming. You guys know I've been playing on PC and PlayStation for a long time now. PlayStation still has the most mindshare for me, but where I really started to get into PC was around 2011, 2012 when I got my first gaming PC. And what made that cool was, you know, there were still some busted ports that would come out once in a while, but for the most part, games were finished when they released and they were content complete and they ran pretty decently no matter what hardware you had. And then right around 2020, they introduced DLSS, they introduced Unreal Engine 4, every game started using Unreal Engine 4, and that introduced a lot of problems. DLSS created problems because developers just started releasing unoptimized games, hoping that gamers would use upscalers with their $1,000 PC graphics cards to kind of make up the difference. And Unreal Engine 4 caused a lot of problems because of shader compilation. So all the shaders have to compile. A lot of games do this now at the beginning when you launch the game. And, you know, I'd say about 30% of them actually compile all the shaders. And if you have uncompiled shaders, whenever you run an animation for the first time, whenever you see that shader or part of a level for the first time, there's a guaranteed 1 second stutter. And then if you run through the game the second time, because the shaders are compiled, you won't see that stutter. Jedi Survivor, they just released patch 9. Now the game is playable. So it took over a year and a half, maybe 2 years for Jedi Survivor to be finished on PC. You have other games like Outriders that had gnarly stutter. The Last of Us Part 1 port was a complete disaster on launch. I mean, even Ghost of Tsushima, which is regarded as a great port, had major stuttering issues at launch on PC. And when you're playing on PC, especially if you have good hardware like I do, it just defeats the entire purpose of playing on that platform when a game comes out that you're paying full price for if you're going to have to spend an hour or two or more of the time that you set aside for gaming playing tech support again for a product that you paid full price for. Whereas on console, exactly as Nishida said, you don't have to deal with these problems. I mean, yeah, you might have to run the game at 30 FPS and the performance mode might be between 40 and 60, but I'll take that any day of the week over hard stuttering issues or graphic artifacting or having to use bad upscaling technology to fight unoptimized games. And I know they use upscalers on PS5, but overall you get a much smoother experience across the board. I'll never discount the experience I had last night where I spent a couple hours painting my 2 Space Marines. Here they are. Let me know if they're good or they suck in the comments. And then I was like, okay, I'm done. I want to play some video games. So I grabbed my DualSense, I switched my monitor that I had YouTube videos on over to the PS5, hit the PS button, I loaded into Space Marine because that was the last game I was playing, and I was in the multiplayer in 2 seconds. Now, that game's performance mode on PS5 unfortunately isn't great, and it sucks because Xbox runs it at a pretty much locked 60, so I play it in quality mode, but on my 4K in-zone monitor, I don't even care. Looks awesome. I don't mind playing at 30 FPS. The online systems all work great. I played for like 3 hours and I went to bed. If I did that on PC, there would just be a lot of extra bullshit that I would have to do to get that game up and running correctly. And you know, I don't have a lot of time anymore. I'm making 6 videos a week. I am painting things. I'm working on my house. When I play video games, I usually only have 2 to 3 hours at night. I want to sit down and play video games. I don't want to play tech support. So on the convenient side of the fence, the dude is 100% correct. Console will always be supreme because at the end of the day, you can either put a disc in your console, wait for the game to transfer, or buy it from the store and download it, hit the X button, and you're just in the game. You never really have to deal with half the issues that you deal with on PC. And that's why it bothers me so much when I see these people constantly saying build a PC instead of buying a PS5 Pro, because building the PC is only one part of the equation. Actually playing games on a PC can and often is a nightmare lately, and that's why around 2023 I said I'm a console gamer again, man. Like stuff like Helldivers 2, I guess, or Call of Duty I'll play on PC because I want that mouse and keyboard support and it's multiplayer focused, but the vast majority of the games I've purchased since 2023 have been on PS5. Like the list does not even compare. And then real quick, touching on the second part of what he said, talking about how they want to expand the gaming market by releasing on other platforms, he understands that there's a big group of people on PC who only play on PC. They're never going to buy a PlayStation console, so you got to kind of meet them where they're at. And I think the way they're doing it by releasing the big first party games a year or so after they come out or more on PlayStation on PC is giving a way to recoup money on development of the port, but also make more of a profit on these games. And it's getting people to play PlayStation games that were never going to do that in the first place if they had to buy a console to do so, right? Like there is a group of people who will just wait forever for a PC port and play it when it comes out, and they're just never going to buy a console. So you got to kind of meet them where they're at. But you know, it seems like the guy really understands the console market, and I think that's great. It's been a long time since I felt that way. The entire Jim Ryan era of PlayStation has caused irreparable damage with all of these live service games and weird pricing structures and streaming consoles and everything like that. So it seems like the two guys at the top right now are both having pretty good ideas, at least in my opinion. Anyway, that brings us to the second segment of this video, which is all about the state of play that could recover some of Sony's goodwill. I will be wearing a different t-shirt because I recorded it on Monday. Bam! I've talked about this in the past a few times, but I think they just gotta like tell us if they're abandoning the showcase model altogether and just say we want to use state of play going forward, because the only reason my perception of the state of plays is so bad is because for the entire generation they've taken the best stuff that they have to announce and they've announced it during showcases, and then they've taken the mid stuff that they have to announce and they've announced it during state of plays. But if they abandon showcases and start moving the big titles that they announced during those over to state of plays, my perception of state of plays changes entirely. So Sony, what you should do is talk to your fans and let them know what you're doing instead of being silent all the time and sitting on your glass throne of beautiful diamonds and pearls and gold that you've built up by selling PS5s with no games for this entire generation, and just let us know what you're doing, because that's like the only thing that's really going to help you at this point. But anyway, it looks like instead of a showcase, we are getting a state of play, and according to Jeff Grubb, it's either going to happen on or around September 24th, so basically a week from today when you're seeing this video. video, and I went through and I made a list of everything that we could expect to see there. And I think if they kind of deliver at least half of these games, I think the goodwill could come back that they've lost by pricing the PS5 Pro at $700 and releasing the dismal game Concord. First up, I'm doing the vanity pick. We got Resident Evil 9. I mean, the leaks have been going crazy for this game. Apparently it's going to bring back Leon, my boy, my favorite character in Resident Evil and pretty much in all of gaming. It's apparently going for a more open world vibe, which shouldn't be surprising if you played Resident Evil Village, but the Capcom's also working on a Code Veronica remake and a Resident Evil 0 remake. Gotta be real, couldn't care less about Resident Evil 0. It was a cool game. Like, it was sweet that you could kind of zap, your items back and forth between Billy and Rebecca and play as two characters in a single player game. I just don't think Rebecca stands up to the pantheon of Chris, Jill, Leon, and Claire. I mean, they're just amazing. And Rebecca's cool, but like, it's not the same. I don't really care about Resident Evil 0, but I do care a lot about Code Veronica because it's like one of those games where, horror fans on Twitter, they act like they're the biggest fans of Silent Hill and the biggest fans of Resident Evil and the biggest fans of Metal Gear Solid. But then when you read what they say about the games, you can tell that they've never actually played any of these games. That's definitely the vibe with Code Veronica that I was getting, but I actually sat down and played it last year on my Steam Deck. And out of the isometric tank control style Resident Evil games, I think that one's my second favorite after Resident Evil 2. It's very good and it deserves a remake. So if they announce any of those three games, I'm very excited immediately. Of course, a huge win would be announcing Astrobot DLC. We know it's coming. We know more bots are going to be added. Just give us an Astrobot trailer with some great music that'll really get people excited, especially in the hardcore fan base. Ghost of Tsushima 2, I'm going to say it should have been announced a long time ago. The whole philosophy with Ghost of Tsushima was to make an open world game with a more limited scope and at a reduced budget, and it was extremely successful. So to follow that up with a game that's taking 5 or 6 years to make just seems like a dumb decision. So if you're making the game, announce it. Thanks to the Insomniac leaks, we know there's going to be a standalone Venom game, but we haven't even gotten DLC announced for Spider-Man 2, so I don't know what's happening there. Like, Insomniac has gone totally silent. And speaking of them, we could also see some gameplay and a release date for Wolverine. That one was announced a long ass time ago, and we have seen nothing from it outside of the leaks. Death Stranding 2, we saw gameplay of it a little bit, but we could see a lot more and a release date. I don't care about your walking sim comments. What I just said about survival horror fans is like the same thing can be applied to Death Stranding haters. It's on PS Plus Extra. It's been given away on PS Plus. It goes on sale for $5 all the time. Stop talking about it if you haven't played it and just give it a shot. Like, I'm being aggressive there, but it is a very good game and it's much more than a walking sim, okay? Just give it a shot. Cory Barlog, where the hell has he been, man? He's been working on a game since God of War 2018. He didn't direct God of War Ragnarok, so it might be time to at least announce that, but that would be a good shadow drop because I don't think any AAA game should take 6 years to make, no matter how good it is. And then for what they should not do, don't talk about fair games. No one cares. No one's going to be excited for a new multiplayer game. It doesn't matter how good it is. After the failure of Concord, people do not want to see that. And also, do not talk about PC ports. They've been really good about this, where even if they have a state of play with a PC port ready to be announced, they don't put it in the state of play. They do a PlayStation blog post the next day. Keep that energy going forward. I think that will pay off well. As for things that I want to happen, but I don't think will happen because, they're just too good to happen. SOCOM coming back as an extraction shooter. If you want people to be excited about a multiplayer game, bring back SOCOM, and PS3 backwards compatibility. We got all those reports a couple months ago that Sony was fast tracking it, trying to figure it out for the PS5. Just make it happen, guys. It's 2 generations old at this point. I'm sick of the excuses or the silence. Just give us PS3 games. There are plenty of franchises that are stranded on the PS3 that deserve to be played on the PlayStation 5, because then you guys will understand why I'm so nostalgic for the PS3 generation. It was amazing. The key point here, Sony really needs a win right now. I would say that they know what they need to do and announce some first party games, but just going by the last month or so of PlayStation World news, they have no idea what they're doing. I'm fully convinced that they just think we're all at their whim and we'll love them no matter what. I still love Sony. I'm still a huge Sony fanboy. At the end of the day, I'm gonna buy the PS5 Pro. Just make me feel good about it by announcing games that are actually going to utilize the hardware instead of showing The Last of Us 2, which is a PS4 game. Anyway, that brings us to the third news story here, which is all about the Horizon Zero Dawn remake resurfacing. And this is a confusing story because Lego Horizon Adventures, everyone kind of thought that was the rumored remake of Horizon that everyone had been talking about for the past year or so. But it turns out the ESRB just rated another remaster of Horizon. So it looks like we'll probably be getting that announcement very soon for PC and PS5. And when it comes to Horizon, I'm not the biggest fan of it. I thought the first game was great and it's a good graphical showcase. A lot of people call it an industry plant though, and I'm just going to be real, they're wrong. I went and looked, and if you add up all the different copies that have been sold of all the biggest PlayStation first party IPs, Horizon Zero Dawn is the best selling PlayStation game of all time at like 25 million copies, and that's beating out God of War, that's beating out Gran Turismo, Infamous, Resistance, everything. Like every other franchise that Sony has put out, it has been beaten by Horizon Zero Dawn. So when they're looking at what they're going to remaster or remake, they're going to remaster or remake the games that sell well, and Horizon is that game. Horizon Forbidden West has only sold like 9 million copies, which isn't really surprising considering they put it on PS Plus Extra for free, but it's still a huge selling franchise, so that explains why they're remastering this game instead of something like God of War, even though that is rumored. So if you want to see games like Days Gone or God of War or Resistance or Infamous or any of these games that I talk about all the time, buy them day one. Don't wait till they're free on PS Plus. Don't wait till they're 20 bucks. Don't wait till they're 15 bucks. Buy them day one. Show Sony's success with these games and they will support them. The only thing that matters to them at the end of the day is numbers and money. And the best way to show them that you want more of these games is to support them at launch. It's just the only thing you can do. But yeah, I'm kind of excited for this. The PC port sucks ass still. It's like mostly fixed, but it still has major artifacting, stuttering, pop-in issues on PC. So hopefully this upgraded version looks and runs a little bit better. I'll give it a shot. I don't double dip on most of the PS games for PC, but these big open world games, I kind of like just kicking back on my desk with a cup of coffee, spending some hours in these worlds. And you know, that seems like a good game to revisit on either PC or PlayStation 5. Anyway, guys, that's all I've got for you in today's video. As always, my name is Jimmy Champagne. I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for watching and shape on.